That's it, boys. A nice little 3-0 win over Wolves last night in a game in which we completely dominated from the first minute right down to the last minute. We now, at the moment, find ourselves second in the table, and that means something. That means something considering the injuries we have. It means something considering that we've not been able to rely upon our best player in Cole Palmer. And it makes you think, if we had this guy on your team during this current period, where would we be right now? How many more goals would we have? How many more points would we have as well too? So things are looking pretty promising, knowing that he's right around the corner, and hopefully I see my guy back in time for Barcelona so we can really cook these guys here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on what we saw last night, because as always, it's a game of two halves, right? It's a game in which we use one half to kind of assert our game, suffocate the opposition, maybe get a little bit bored as a fan base seeing the same type of passing moves done all the time, having no little effect in kind of creating opportunities, right? But at the same time, is there a method to the madness? Is there a method to the madness? Because when you're constantly probing, constantly seeing rotations where guys like Enzo, for example, they're kind of dropping deep to kind of pull runners out, to free up maybe Garnacho down that left-hand side, with also Cucurella pinning a guy inside the field as well too. Yeah, from a spectator point of view, it's not always as exciting, but there is a method to the madness, and some of the stats kind of sum up why maybe Moresca prefers this approach, because we've made the most big chances in the league, the most shots per game, the most successful interceptions as well. And most of the times when we haven't maybe secured something has come from individual errors in crucial moments, compared to us maybe getting outplayed or nullified outside of that one game against Bayern Munich, which I'm trying to forget right now, to be fair with you. There is a method to the madness, because for myself watching it, I just kind of instinctively knew, okay, second half, I'm going to see a completely different performance. Why? Because we used the first half probing and tiring out Wolves. They're going to get more tired as the game goes on. We have more weapons to turn to off the bench as well too. And I just think when you're just up against a team like us that is just like, mechanically grinding out the passing passages, how we're kind of looking to create those overloads on the left-hand side and right-hand side to free up the wide men, yeah? How we're looking to just kind of keep the ball in rotation, playing out from the back, finding the midfields, yeah? Playing left to right, left to right. Sometimes I like us to play back to front a little bit more. But I just think that after a while, against a team like Wolves, they're going to feel the constraints. They're going to feel the tired legs, yeah? After the 10th time, like they have to double up on a Garnacho, that 11th time, that guy is not going to get close enough, and we're going to create an opening. And I think that is the purpose of this football, right? It doesn't work all the time. I still think we need to find other solutions. But I do think that Moresca does create these little tweaks that gives us something in these games. And it's a case of having to judge the game over two halves and not maybe instantly react as soon as, what we see in that first half, right? So I guess it's food for thought, because in the first half, outside of just maybe dominating the game and asserting ourselves, we didn't really assert ourselves with real quality shots on goal. There were some nice moments, of course, and I feel like for myself, the game can kind of be summarized by some of the great individual performances that we saw. And for myself, I think one of the big performances last night was courtesy of Enzo Fernandez. For me, when you have Joao Pedro playing that 10 role, it does something to Enzo Fernandez where it allows him to be more involved in the second phase. If you guys have been watching me, if you watch like my analysis with Enzo all those years back when we signed him from Benfica, I've always seen this guy as like a top-class, world-class second phase operator, where you're the guy that gets to receive the ball facing the goal, right? And you can kind of connect the fields. Yeah, you can release runners in behinds. You can play those line-breaking passes. Yeah, you can do the 1-2 combinations. You can kind of set the tempo a little bit. It's nice to see him on the ball at times. Enzo plays two roles for us. He plays as an attacking mid, and there are times where he has the luxury to play more as a second phase operator. And for me, when you're playing against a team in Wolves that was guaranteed to come out to use a deep block, 5 at the back, bro, 5-3-2, yeah? Like, and the fact that they could even maybe stay in the game for that long in the first half tells you that, there are still a few things that we have to do to kind of improve our ability against this type of team, right? Because listen, a lot of teams will play this way who are in a much better psychological situation compared to Wolves. So we can't forget that, even though we got the result we came out to do. But I think for us as fans, we want to see what type of smart tweaks we can make. And for me, against a low block, I need to see Enzo operating in the second phase, receiving from the defense, and then kind of instigating what our next move is going to be, because he controls that. I have to see little details like Malo goes, so providing the overlap and not inverting himself inside as much, yeah? They're the little details. And I think once we have Cole Palmer back, who is like our system breaker as well, and I think when he combines again with Joao Pedro up front, we're going to see even more creativity added to the team. And obviously the big one finally will be when Esteval is ready to play week in, week out. But I'm going to touch upon that later on. I think we do have the possibilities and solutions in the squad already to cope a lot better against this type of tactic. And so far, maybe you're seeing more promising signs now from like the end of last season and the start of this one that, listen, it's not like a super like big linear curve of improvement, but if you look at the trajectory, it's kind of pointing upwards a little bit. And touching on what I'm saying, a lot of that increases when Enzo is the second phase career, because low-key, not even low-key, high-key, you guys, it was nice to see Enzo actually displaying his superior passing range. We don't get to see it as often when he has the box crash, or he's playing in smaller pockets and circles, or when he's relied upon making movements and runs off the board to free up space for his teammates. He can do that. The guy can play a lot of midfield roles. He's quite complete in that aspect. But personally, if you guys have been watching me, it's like, I know what Enzo can do on the ball. I want to see him more involved. I want Moresca to let this guy cook. My dream vision for him is for him to be like our new version of Lampard. And what annoys me about like how Frank Lampard is seen now is that he was just seen as this box crashing, kind of tapping merchant pen guy, which, I mean, again, just tells that you don't watch football if this is how you see Frank. I was at every game, yeah, season ticket holder, watching that golden era. I was seeing what Lampard was doing, receiving from our defense, yeah. I was seeing him playing those balls over the top to find the on-running runs of Ashley Cole. Those classic switch balls to the right side, which he was doing for fun, yeah. The playmaking from deep, the balls over the top to find and release your Drogbas, yeah. This guy was our entire midfield, yeah. From the first phase receiving, instigating moves in the second phase, and getting on the end in the third phase. And I think because Enzo can perform a lot of tactical roles in midfield. And when I mean roles, it's like, okay, can he be the attacking mid? Can he be the deep line playmaker at times? Can he be the 8? I think in Football Manager terminology, you guys, I hope you guys do as well too. This is why I think he has that potential to do what Frank did to a sense. And yesterday, when he's allowed that license to kind of express himself and show what he can do, man, you can see what he's really about. I mean, some of those balls he was playing, like especially that pass to find Garnacho for the second goal, I was just thoroughly impressed, because that is a hard pass to pull off, like on the swivel as well too. Now, most times players are kicking that off the field, you guys. But to get that weight that perfect where it's in front of Garnacho at that pace, where Garnacho doesn't have to break his stride to control it, yeah? It's this individual quality that I want to see Enzo express more. And I think he can do that when he has that license at times to be receiving a bit deeper, receiving from the defense. When it's Cucurella that's pushing up to pin a man at times, giving Enzo more possibilities to play with. Because I think I've always thought about Enzo, yeah, and I think my thing with Enzo has always been, even though he is a good, solid, like good player, tactical player for us, I feel like he hasn't been able to allow to really cook like he can do, to like really express his game with his passing range, his travellas, the stuff that you see him do for Argentina, basically. And I think that always kind of made me like hold back on him a little bit, because it's like, okay, I know you're a world-class player, but you're not producing those world-class moments all the time. Like the balls are under hit or they're over hit. Anything ambitious you're attempting isn't really coming off like it should be for the type of class of player that you are. And I see our guys are like in a higher esteem in some of the game. Enzo's in that bracket, yeah. So I just have higher expectations that the ambitious play that he wants to do has to get pulled off a lot more than what we tend to see. But yesterday, this was like the classic Enzo that I know he can produce, he can play. And it makes a difference for us, especially in terms of our game, having him there. And I just think, yeah, against these low blocks, he will be a masterful solution to creating possibilities when he is playing deeper, facing the goal more. They're my thoughts on that, you guys. But on top of that, of course, some of the other star performances yesterday, Alejandro Garnacho, we're seeing a real budding partnership between himself and Enzo. And I've always been saying recently, you guys, I'm noticing what these lot are doing together. But number two, when you want to break down teams, you can't just kind of methodically grind yourself to a victory, right? A lot of times you need the players' understanding of each other, their rhythm, their combinations, yeah? Their complementary play to also give you those little split yard advantages on the field, because that's what ultimately helps you unlock a game. And we saw that for sure. I think with Enzo, having Garnacho, who is in sync with Enzo Fernandez, who's in sync with knowing how to time the runs, yeah? How to drift right to create the separation, yeah? It makes it easier for Enzo to make those passes compared to maybe at times where he struggled with like a Mudryk, who was, really naive with a lot of that type of play. Gittins, who can do it, but is quite inconsistent. At the moment, Garnacho is by far the best option solution for that right now. And it's good to see that there is another budding partnership, because I've been saying for a while, I'm not seeing enough of those partnerships. But if we want to be a team that can beat the low blocks, you're going to need like a Garnacho and Enzo. You're going to need like Pedro, Esteval, Cole Palmer, Gusto's, Reece James's. Like, you're going to need that type of complementary play. And I don't know, I just felt like after the game against Wolves, we were seeing some maybe promising signs for the future. So hopefully that continues and we see that when the big boys return back to the team. Outside of those really two good performances, of course, the entire team was solid. I was impressed with the partnership of Jalibert and Fofana. At the moment, these guys are probably the big guys you're using against Barca and Arsenal in a few weeks' time easily. Getting the second clean sheet is nice work. I like Malo. I could not believe I saw this guy, yeah, get his first goal for us in that manner. It felt like a Makelele moment in that sense, where he scored that pen against Charlton when his teammates backed him that goal. I'm glad that guy's bagged his first goal before he reached 100 appearances for us, yeah. But I think the thing I liked about him was that Moresca used him in a way that complements and suits his instincts, yeah? He's a space creator, space invader, wide threat, direct type of player. He doesn't have the passing ability, knowing where to make the right pass at the right time, at the right angle, yeah? Or even playing those ambitious balls over the top or through the lines. So he's not that type of guy like a Reece James, no? This guy is your support guy on the right. And just having him with this like telepathic understanding of how to move into spaces, how to pull men wide, pull men inside, time the underlap, time the overlap. It makes a big difference, man. And this is going to be key for us for sure. And I hope I see Gusto playing the wider role more compared to playing this inside inverted role, which he's improved upon a little bit, but it's still not quite there in my opinion. So my guys, man, we saw a lot of good things yesterday. Nice to see us get 3 goals as well. Gusto getting the first goal. The second goal coming from Joao Pedro with the instant impact of Esteval. I probably want to end things on that. Obviously, finishing off the goals. Pedro Neto getting on the score sheet, courtesy of Garnacho's great play down the left-hand side. Then playing that easy ball over the top. The guy bagging 2 assists in that game. At the moment, is he starting to win that left wing battle? It might be looking like that, but I think we'll get clearer answers between who the star guy is right now between Gittins and Garnacho after we see the games versus Arsenal and Barcelona. I need to see what these guys are doing against the big boys too. Not just against opposition that we should be getting something against, right? Let's keep it humble. Let's keep it humble. But just to end things in Esteval, bro, less than 1 minute of influence and game time on the field, and instantly you see that type of spark and energy. Like, he lifts the crowd, and when the crowd get lifted, that energy gets transferred back to the team. And I think when he comes on, you just see a new gear unlocked in the team. To have all of this at 18. You know, I keep saying, like, he plays like he knows he's the chosen one, where it's not about arrogance. You're kind of beyond that at that point. It's just 120% self-belief. And when you're playing with that level of fearlessness and that level of desire and belief, yeah, that's kind of like unlocking your limiter on some one punch man stuff, yeah. That's the level of clarity that this kid plays with, which really impresses me. And listen, all of us get a bit like sad when he's not starting games, but I've said, man, I'm trusting the process with Esteval. I'm actually rating the fact that Moresca's going against the grain and not getting desperate for him, because it tells me he cares about the player. He cares about his long-term future at this football club. He knows what he can do over the years. I've seen many players disregard players' fitness for their own selfish pursuits to secure points for their own reasons. Moresca has worked with youth his entire career. He knows what he's doing. And the fact that Esteval just keeps leaving like imprints of himself in every single game and in like the minutes he's getting, it's just gearing up to something beautiful that's going to come second half of this season, guys. I'm telling you that right now. He needs to kind of build himself up a bit more physically, get used to the country, the weather, all these little things that a kid his age, yeah, he needs to get over, and that will come with time. But I'm rating what Moresca's doing with his kids, and I'm telling you guys, be patient, trust the process, and we're going to get all the benefits from this second half of the season. So my friends, that's everything I got to say on the review. Apologies for not releasing this yesterday. I'll be honest with you guys. I had a friend's leaving drinks. He's off out the country. Everyone's leaving London now. It's kind of sad, low key. But obviously I had the game on, so I didn't go crazy with the drinks. Like, honestly, I literally had like 3 pints. There was like 2 pints and then 2 more half pints. And I guess I don't really drink that much. I don't know what it was, but I just felt so like ill when I got back yards. Obviously, I got back in time to watch the game. You guys know I'm not missing nothing. But all of a sudden, like, as I was watching, I just felt so sick and ill out from nowhere. And is it because I don't drink much? Nothing was in my drink. I don't know what happened. And obviously, it's frustrating that I couldn't release it yesterday, considering I left this event early so I could cover the game. So apologies for that, you guys. I'm feeling a bit better now. Love for all the support. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later with more videos. Cool.